Hi guys, my name's Will Dean. I'm the forest author, the author in the forest. Today I want to talk about, is writing books for a living hard work? Depending on your perspective and your point of view, this might seem like a really obvious thing. Is writing books for a living hard work or not? But I wanted to address this. And first of all, I'll talk a little bit of context. So I'm from the East Midlands, sandwiched between the old coal mining areas of kind of Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, South Yorkshire, and the farming factory areas of the Fens. So I was brought up in the middle there. I've done a lot of strange jobs in my life. A lot of physical jobs, a lot of difficult jobs. And here's my take on this. Writing books well is really, really hard, but it is not hard work. Let me unpick that a little bit. So I think writing books is difficult. Writing good books is really, really difficult. I struggle with it. I find it constantly challenging. I think I will till the day I die. It's not something I'm ever going to master. It's hopefully something I'm improving at all the time, but it is difficult. It's tough. It's not easy to write a good book. It is not easy to be a writer full-time. It is not easy to be a writer part-time and do something else. It is not easy to be a writer in your spare time. Writing good stories is difficult. Let me explain it like this. If I think of a typical reader, they have not that much free time, right? Maybe they've got family they're looking after, whether it's parents or people they're caring for or children. They're making a living somehow, they're working. Maybe they have some kind of chronic pain situation or some kind of issue that they're dealing with that makes life more complicated. Between kind of commuting, working, sleeping, feeding yourself, looking after whoever you've got to look after, maybe that's just yourself, that's enough, to be honest. There's not that much free time left, and that free time you have left, you need to look after yourself in some way. You need to do something that gives you some kind of joy, some kind of pleasure, some kind of comfort. That might be reading a book, but when I'm writing a book, I have in the back of my mind, and I make sure it's in the back, like it's not at the front of my mind, otherwise I probably would never ever get to the end of a book. But I do have in the back of my mind, this book needs to stand up next to a Netflix series. It needs to be as enthralling or as satisfying in some way as watching your favorite DVD. It needs to stand up to other books. It needs to be as compelling as other good books. Because a typical reader might be exhausted, stressed, anxious. They've got an hour spare time. What are they going to do? Are they going to watch something great on TV? Are they going to read a classic novel? Or are they going to pick up your novel? Your novel needs to kind of stand up against that. Your novel needs to, I wouldn't say compete. I don't see this as a competition thing. I would say it just needs to be as good as you can make it. So there is pressure to make your book as good as it can possibly be. But is that process of sitting down and writing a novel and then submitting it, getting it published, publicizing it, talking about it, writing the next novel, is that hard? In and of itself, it is hard. Compared to other kind of jobs, it is not hard. And I totally understand any other author who publicly complains that writing is difficult, because it is, and because every single person has to deal with their own trials and tribulations and issues in their own way. So I would never tell somebody not to talk about how difficult it is to be a writer. It is hard to write a book, but it is much harder to go down a coal mine each day and work at the coalface. It is difficult to write a novel, but it is harder working shifts in a factory. It is difficult dealing with some of the emotions and some of the issues around reading difficult reviews or being rejected, but it is tougher being a paramedic and dealing with some of the horrors and the nightmares that those guys have to deal with on a daily, weekly basis. So I don't want to belittle other writers in any way. Writing is difficult. Writing full-time is often really hard to pay the bills. Writing part-time, writing in your spare time, it's really, really tough just to put the hours in. That is a real challenge, and most writers aren't writing full-time. So I think writing is really hard. Good writing is really, really difficult. But as a career, if you're fortunate enough to be a writer and that pays the bills or some of the bills or all of the bills, then yeah, it's tough, but it's a lot tougher doing other kinds of jobs. Does that make any sense at all? Am I coming across as an asshole? I hope not. If you disagree with me, and I welcome disagreement, I welcome a conversation, a debate, comment down below, please do, and I will get to your comments and I will answer them and I will rethink this whole thing if necessary. I think part of being a human being and part of growing and part of being like a responsible adult is revisiting your opinions, revisiting your points of view every now and then and thinking, am I right here? You know, do I need to look at this from a different angle, from a different perspective? Do I need to do more research into this? So I'm quite happy to say I'm wrong, always. If I am, that's fine. Please do like this video if you enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button, it really helps the channel, and I will see you in the next one.
pour moi.